Hey everyone. All right, so we are going to be doing a shorter one today, but very important. We're going to be converting word problems into written functions. So this is called modeling. So where you're given a word problem and you're trying to write an equation in function form that's going to represent that situation. So our essential question for today is can you pick up some strategies for maybe helping you convert word problems into functions? We've done this already with linear equations, so this is not going to be something super new, but it's good practice for us to repeat this again, especially with the function notation that we've added in over the past couple of days. All right, so here's my tips to you. When you get a word problem, first off, let's identify the domain and range. So what is the input and what is the output? Which one depends on the other? Remember, the range depends on the domain. So as the domain changes, the range will change in response, not the other way around. Determine a variable. So pick a variable. If you're talking about time, you could use t, you could use s for seconds, m for minutes, y for years. And then if you're given the range, you can do that, but typically you're going to do a function notation with the variable in there. Now, if a variable is given to you in the question, like they say use W for weeks, then make sure you are using the variable that was given to you. At the end of the day, you can always just sub in an X too. Look for action words. So we're trying to figure out, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, squaring, anything else that might be an action word that would tell you, okay, which operations do I need to bring in here? So underline them, highlight them, whatever you need. Some will be very obvious, some will be a bit more subtle. All right, so as we look at our first example with Jasmine, saving for an upcoming purchase. So we've got 521 in her savings account already, so that's our starting amount, and it's going to add $27 every week. Write a function showing the change in balance of our savings account per week, and we're using W to represent our function. So we've got W is our function, so we're going to do f of W. What I might see sometimes happen is B of W, like B representing balance, so balance as a function of weeks, or we can just do a function based on the number of weeks. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm just going to use f of W to start so we don't confuse things too much. So starting amount $521, and then we are adding $27 every week. So the output this is going to give us is the total amount of money, or the balance. And then just remember, in most questions there might be a part B to follow this up, and it might be what is f of 6, or how much money will she have after 6 weeks, or how long will it take her to reach a balance of $1,000. And you would sub in appropriately. So f of 6 will go in for W, and you sub it in where you see W, so like we did in evaluating functions. If I said the balance is $1,000, then you would say, okay, the output needs to be 1,000, and we're going to solve for the number of weeks. Make sure you're answering the question you were asked for. All right, Naoya read a book cover to cover in a single session at a rate of 55 pages per hour. After 4 hours, he had 350 pages left to read. Write a function showing the number of pages remaining in the book based on the number of hours h of reading that he does. So again, we have the variable given to us. Pause the video, try and write a function that would show this, number of pages remaining in the book, and then come back and see how you did. All right, let's see how we did. So important information here. Reads at a rate of 55 pages per hour. And after 4 hours, he had 350 pages left to read. So it hadn't read 350 pages, had 350 pages left. And we want a function to show the number of pages remaining. So if we are reading pages, we are subtracting from the number of remaining pages in the book. Does that make sense? So you have 100 pages, you read 55, now there's 45 left. We did some subtraction there. So we're going to be doing the same thing here, and we're using h for hours. So f of h is going to be, so the number of pages remaining, he had 350 left, and we are subtracting 55 pages per hour, so 55h. And we could use that to figure out, well, how long would it take them to finish the book, or how many pages would there be left after 2 more hours of reading? When would he have 100 pages left? All those kinds of questions would now be great follow-up ones to this one. Eventually what we will be asked to do as well is like, how many pages were in the book in the beginning? And you would have to think about that and then calculate down your function. So like that was something we weren't asked to do here, but that's something I could ask you for as well. So just make sure you think about that. All right, take a shot at this one. Airplane 30,000 feet above the ground begins descending at a rate of 2,000 feet per minute, assuming the plane continues at a constant rate of descent. So it's not like slowing down, going up again, or anything like that. It's just steadily going down. Write a function to show the height of the plane based on its time into its descent. So pause the video, come back and show me how you did. All right. So key information here, starting at 30,000 feet above the ground, descending at a rate, so descending, it's going down, feet per minute. So we want a function that shows the height of the plane based on the time into its descent, and it didn't give us a variable to use, but we're doing feet per minute. So I'm going to use m as my variable. So m is minutes. So we could do something like h of m, a height, as a function of the number of minutes. We could do f of m or g of m. It doesn't really matter which one we do. Let's just stick with f. So f of m is equal to 30,000. So that was our starting height, and we're decreasing at 2,000 feet per minute. So then question would be, like, how long would it take to reach a height of 12,000 feet? And you'd be like, okay, 12,000 is my output. What would my input have to be to reach that? Or what would the height be after 240 seconds? And you'd be like, okay, seconds to minutes, got it, and then convert it, and then put it in, and off you go. All right, employee gets paid $2,000 every 3 weeks at their new job. They also get a signing bonus. So if you're not familiar with that, with some jobs, especially if you are a high demand skill or person, you can negotiate for a signing bonus. So that's where you just get a cash lump sum upfront for signing on to work for that company. Sometimes there's a stipulation like you have to work for the company for at least 2 years, otherwise you have to give the signing bonus back. And other times it's just like, nope, if you sign, we give you a bonus. And then you get paid $2,000 every 3 weeks for the new job. So write a function showing the amount of work, the amount of money they earn every year as a function of the number of weeks, W, that are worked. Pause the video, come back, let's see how you do, especially with that 2,000 every 3 weeks. All right, so we've got f of W, because W is the variable given to us, 2,000 every 3 weeks, and a $650 signing bonus. So we know we've made $650 from day one, plus $2,000, but every 3 weeks. It wouldn't be 3W because that wouldn't make sense. That would be 6,000W when we distributed that. It's actually 2,000 over 3W. So that is, if you took $2,000 divided by 3, that would be the weekly pay, but we're getting $2,000 every 3 weeks. So then we can use this to figure out, well, how much money has been earned. And what would usually happen is you'd want to have weeks be a multiple of 3, so like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so that you're getting paid every 3 weeks. But we can kind of assume like how much has been earned during that time, even if you haven't been paid yet. All right, that brings us to the end for today. Strategies for converting: look for the domain and range, identify the variable that you're going to use or you're being asked to use, look for the action words, and then write your function. Okay, so for tonight, you got some Khan Academy stuff to work on. I have a couple of worksheet problems as well that we're going to do in class, but it won't be homework. So make sure you're checking Schoology to get all of that, and then checking Khan Academy as well. Talk to you all soon.